So this ugly behemoth is my sort of welding table slash welding holder. Not very mobile, made out of scrap metal. That's a barbecue plate there that sort of has worked as an improvised sort of a tacking up workbench. It's not very level. Does the job. This thing's made out of offcuts, scraps, chicken bones and potato peel, you know, just Ryobo. It's a mess. It's just an ugly behemoth that I made, I don't know, 3 years ago, and I was living in a rental house that had no shed, and so I needed just a very small workbench to do stuff. It has a few redeeming features like that built-in grinder and the fact that it holds the welder up off the ground, and that's about it. I'm going to try to make this a little bit more functional. I now have a lot more room, as you can probably see, and it's just very heavy and awkward, and I'm getting tired of it. So I'm going to put some wheels on this and try to make it just a little bit more user-friendly. On a side note, I had a boss that used to say, he'd bring in an old trailer or something that was a real beat-up piece of junk, and he'd say, "Okay, Steve, I need you to turn this dog poo into strawberry jam." That's kind of what this is today. I'm going to try to turn this dog poo into strawberry jam. The great thing about these wheels is that it takes a 3/4 axle, which means I've just gone out and bought these 2 high tensile 3/4 bolts. The shank there is perfect. It goes straight through the wheel so that the bearings, it's got roller bearings, which are good for load bearing. They're going to be running just on this part. I'm going to use the thread to sort of bolt onto a bit of plate, making it up as I go, as usual. Just some cheap casters. Well, this one was $17, this one was $24 because it has a brake. And because I'm cheap, if you haven't worked that out already, I just bought one with a brake so that if for whatever reason I do want to lock it down, I've got one with a brake on it, you know. Might be useful. It's actually very sensible to have it because I'm going to be welding off it as well. I don't want it sort of rolling and moving around underneath me. If I lean against it, I don't want it to roll away. So having a braked wheel is a good deal. It's not a bad idea. Now we're in sort of the mock-up stage. I've got the bits that I want to use to attach the wheels to, but while we're here, it's worth me actually setting this thing up right. That looks pretty good. Let's go the other way. That'll do me. Well, with the aid of a couple of cold chisels, got it fairly level. I'm not going for any sort of real precision here, I just want to make it a little bit better than what it was. The great thing about gasless MIG is you can make minute temperature adjustments, amperage adjustments on the fly by simply increasing your stick out. What I mean by stick out, for those who aren't familiar with that term, is that's how far the wire is sticking out while you're welding. And yet, the more consistent you can keep that stick out, the better your weld's going to look. Now, in this case, in many cases though, as you're going along and you're putting preheat into the steel, by increasing your stick out, you can actually drop your amperage. That'll decrease your amperage by a couple of amps, as much as 5 amps in some cases, depending on how far you go out. You can do this a lot. You can do this with a gas MIG as well. Sorry, a MIG that uses gas to shield the weld. But not as far, because as you go out, you'll get the gas shielding. The gas stops oxygen from getting to the weld and creating porosity. Basically, if oxygen can get to the weld, the metal will kind of like just turn to cheese. That's the only way to describe it. It just gets all holes in it. It's called porosity. So with gasless though, because there is a core in here with a flux, it burns, and as it burns, it creates its own shielding, much like a stick welder does. Yeah, you can increase your stick out, and I use that trick a lot. I just thought I'd share it with you. It's something to keep in mind if you're ever having to weld along something and there's a gap at the end. By increasing your stick out, it'll save you from blowing through. Anyway, I hope that's useful. Another little trick for welding gal is step forward, move back, step forward, move back, step forward, move back. That little weave, I find what that does is it helps burn off some of that galvanization before you mainly go over. It just helps to sort of cut through it a bit better. You get a much nicer looking weld with gal anyway. Oh, I should clean that off, but I'm feeling a bit lazy today. I do know better, I just don't care. If it was for somebody else, I'd care, but for me, you know, it's like the concreter's driveway, the mechanic's car, the welder's welding table, it's all that stuff. Now at the moment this thing is wobbling like Homer Simpson's, right? I can tell you exactly why that is. We're just not tight enough together down here. I'm relying on those 2 bits of 20mm Rio to keep this whole thing straight. Those cross bracings help, but it's not enough. We're going to have to beef this up. Cut out this one. It was about there. On that one. That's our second cut. Okay, she's solid now this way. Now all the movement is left to right, or in this case it'll be front and back as well. Actually, I'm sort of standing at the front here. I'm not sure what the front or back of this thing is. It's all a bit all over the place. So we need to tie it together, probably along there or something. Come down off this, brace it down to the bottom, or do all of the above. Don't you love this patina look? Oh, I love it. So this is the final piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Well, not really actually. That goes in there, and that hopefully just the sheer thickness and the size and everything else should give this table some rigidity? Is that even a word? Anyway. Ah, that's beautiful. That's a much more acceptable amount of wobble. I'm just going to vacate the room and let this smoke clear. Building a part for yourself. Focus. Beautiful. Now, really important, just for ease of build, is when you get your front casters and your rear wheels, keep in mind that if I line the top of this plate up with that hole where it's going to sit, notice how they're actually the same size. The way both come to the same point. That's really good. It means I can just weld an axle on and bolt this on, and I know that the whole thing's still going to be at the same height, if that makes sense. Something to keep in mind. So in thinking about it, that only took like 3 weeks to come up with my decision. I'm just going to weld this bolt straight onto the frame with the wheel in place. It means that I'm never going to be able to remove it without cutting the bolt off, but I reckon by the time these wheels have worn out, my welder will have worn out, and I'll probably be wanting to build a new cart by then anyway. So I'm just going to go with the easy option, but I am going to grease the crap out of these bearings before I put them on, because it ain't going to happen again. I want to brace this up a bit. Found these couple of offcuts in the bin. I find most of my steel actually. mainly going to be working from this side, so that's the side I'll put the brake on. That makes sense to me. Just going to sit that down there. Need water. It's funny watching the sputter hit the water, so it just wants to dance across it. Right, let's stand this up. Put the brake on. So it doesn't run away on me. Alrighty. Oh, that's nice. That's a much better working height too. So the final part to this whole thing is just securing the gas bottle. You kind of don't want something that heavy just toppling off on you or one of your kids or a fellow workmate or whatever. It's a good idea to lock it down. So I'm just going to make a bit of a bar, a bit of a bracket, just so it's got something to sort of pull against when I wrap the chain around it. And that'll be pretty much it for this. Ta-da! That was so corny. Anyway, we have a nice little torch holder. It's got somewhere to hang the cords now. Before they were always just sort of lumped over this poor bench grinder, and that's sort of not very good. That's really convenient for when you foul as many tungstens as I do. Yeah, and the whole thing is mobile, which is great. It just means that I'm not sort of stuck in one little corner of my shed TIG welding. I can now move it around and take it across to a larger bench if I need to. So, did I successfully turn dog poo into strawberry jam? No, I don't think so. But it's a heck of a lot better than what it was. It's certainly a lot more stable. And just that gas bottle on there, the weight of that alone sort of really anchors the whole thing to the floor, which is nice. It's also a better working height for me, as I'm fairly tall, 6 foot something or other. So thank you for coming around and checking this out. I hope this was interesting. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.